welcome to the Football Philosophy channel. 2 days ago we beat West Brom at Old Trafford 1-0, got the right result, not the best performance in the world, but it's that time of the season now where the fixtures are coming thick and fast. We're playing every weekend and every midweek for quite a while, so you soon get a chance if you get a bad result to try and put it right or try and put your form right. So we've got a game tomorrow night, Tuesday night, Basaksehir at Old Trafford in the Champions League. So we desperately need a win again. And to be honest, it's so important that you get to 10 points as quickly as possible, and we can get to 9 points by winning tomorrow evening. That again, really, the result's that important that the performance doesn't really matter that much. So long as we get that win. So they've got to win tomorrow night. It'd be great if the performance is better, but so long as they get the win tomorrow, as I say, that's the most important thing. Ole's had his press conference and talks about any fresh injuries, which I don't think there are any, and who's back. He's mentioned Paul Pogba trained today. I don't think Pogba will go straight back into the starting lineup. He's supposed to have had some sort of niggle that kept him out of the squad on Saturday after the international break finished. Just coming straight back into the squad without even being in the matchday squad on Saturday, I doubt if he'll start. I can see a place for Paul Pogba on the bench. I'm going to now hazard a guess at what the starting lineup will be for the Basaksehir game, what I think he's going to pick, and obviously I'm aided by one or two things that were said in the press conference. He was asked about the goalkeeping situation, and somebody said to him that Henderson has obviously got to get a run at some stage, and if he doesn't get a run in this tournament tomorrow night, that he will only get a chance to play against Everton in the Carling Cup, or whatever it's called these days, the League Cup, which obviously we've got Everton to play in that tournament in a few weeks' time. The journalist who asked him the question said that there's no chance for Henderson to get a game after tonight apart from in that game, which Ole quite rightly said to him, that's not right. There's plenty of games between now and Christmas, and there's no reason at all why Henderson might not get a game in a different game. We've still got plenty of league games, and we've also still got, all right, the tougher fixtures, but we've still got to play Leipzig and PSG in the Champions League. So there's plenty of opportunity for him to play. But I do get where the journalist is coming from as well. You would think that, De Gea is playing every game that's, in the league so far. It is a bit hard to imagine Ole turning around one day, unless he starts making mistakes, De Gea, whether he's going to ever drop him or just leave him out to give Henderson a game in the league. I understand where the journalist is coming from, and I'm gonna try and name my team now that I think Ole will pick, and I will say that tomorrow he is going to give De Gea a rest, and I'm gonna suggest I think that Henderson will start in goal. Back four, Wan-Bissaka will play right back. Wan-Bissaka was also quizzed by the media today. Different because of COVID, different type of press conferences these days. Obviously, all the press can't be there in the same room, so it's all done online. But even the players not with the manager, it certainly wasn't today anyway. It's usually you used to see it that the manager was sat next to a player, but they interviewed Ole at one section of it. And then shortly after that, Wan-Bissaka was questioned completely separately. I think so. People always used to say that whoever's in the press conference is automatically starting, by the way, whichever player was sat next to the manager. But I've noticed twice in the last few weeks that wasn't the case, that the player that was sat with the manager didn't actually start in the game when the game came round. But I don't think that's going to be the case this time. I'm pretty certain Wan-Bissaka will start at right back. The centre-back situation, Lindelof was supposed to have a back injury but managed to play the full 90 minutes at the weekend. So I don't, unless there's any adverse reaction, which it wasn't mentioned that there was, I think Lindelof will start again. Some people might think Tuanzebe should start. Tuanzebe started in the away game in Turkey. I don't think he covered himself in glory in that game. So I think the boss, so long as Lindelof's all right, I think he'll stick with Lindelof and Maguire as the centre-back pairing. And obviously Telles didn't do anything wrong. He looks a good player. Played quite well at the weekend against West Brom. So I think the back four. I think he will give Henderson a game, but I think the back four will be his usual back four of Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, and Telles. Into the midfield. McTominay was rested at the weekend. McTominay's been all around Europe. He's been to Slovakia with Scotland, Israel they played, and Serbia they played. And I think he played 2 full games, plus 1 game went to extra time. So I think he was just rested because of a couple of games and all the travelling that he'd done in the last couple of weeks. So I can see McTominay getting his... I actually thought we missed him on Saturday against West Brom as well. I think McTominay will get his place back in the team tomorrow night. And then partnered by... Matic got a start at the weekend alongside Fred. A couple of things here. Matic actually went down and needed treatment, and it looked like, I'm not sure what it was, it looked like a muscle injury or maybe cramp, but he certainly went down and waved to the bench for treatment with about 10 minutes to go the other day. So whether he's fully fit, they haven't said he's not, or whether he was just particularly tired at the end of that game and feeling it. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but Fred also was substituted, and maybe Fred was substituted with this game in mind. So it's a difficult one to guess at, really, but I think he will go back to his favoured pairing that have played quite a lot together this season. I think it'll be McTominay and Fred as the central midfield pairing, which is, same as the usual back four. Really, that's his usual midfield pairing these days, McTominay and Fred. And then it changes round a little bit for me. If we look wide on the right at the weekend, I'm assuming he's going to go with this similar format, by the way. Whether you want to call it 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1. When it's 4-2-3-1, two of the three, they've got the job of tracking back and helping the full backs out. So to me, it's very similar, 4-4-2 and 4-2-3-1. So at weekend, it was Juan Mata wide right. I think Juan Mata will be rested. Some of you might prefer to call it dropped. I don't think Juan Mata was playing badly at all. I've rewatched the game. I thought he played quite well, if I'm honest, and I was a bit surprised on the day when he got... Well, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised because he always takes Juan Mata off. But I was surprised in as much I thought Juan Mata was playing as well as anybody was. Or certainly no worse than anybody else against West Brom. So anyway, Juan Mata was taken off after an hour. I don't think that was to rest him for tonight. I think he was just substituting him, a tactical change as they call it these days. So I don't see Juan Mata keeping his place tonight. Mason Greenwood's name wasn't mentioned, but he did mention other players that were missing. He mentioned Lingard, for example, still missing. Jones is still missing. Luke Shaw's still missing, he added. So Mason Greenwood's name wasn't mentioned. I'm going to assume he was there training. But again, he's not been in the match day squad even for a few games now. I can see Mason Greenwood making the bench. Don't forget, you're allowed to use 5 substitutes and name 9 substitutes. So I think Mason Greenwood will just make the bench tomorrow night if he's fully fit and ready to go. So I don't think it'll be Mata wide right. I don't think it'll be Greenwood wide right. Van der Beek, some people think might be able to play wide right. He could try that. Van der Beek came on at the weekend. If you remember at the weekend when Cavani came on at number 9, Martial switched to the left and Rashford switched from the left to the right. So Rashford was playing wide right for about 15 minutes until he got substituted. When Rashford got substituted, it was a straight swap for Van der Beek. But Van der Beek, to me, is naturally a number 10, and he immediately started drifting in field. And before you knew it, Van der Beek and Bruno were on top of one another and looking for the same passes, looking to receive the ball in similar areas, and they were really on top of one another. So I don't think it worked too well with Van der Beek. What actually happened in the end at weekend is Bruno came, they must have shouted on from the bench. Bruno ended up pulling out wide to the right for the last 5 minutes when Van der Beek took up the number 10 role. So I'm not too sure he's going to want to chance Van der Beek in that wide right role after the way it went at the weekend. So I think he's going to stick with Rashford, and Rashford switched to that role, and you'll see why I'm going to say that in a minute, because Rashford obviously started on the left. I think he's going to stick with Rashford, who played there for 15 minutes at the weekend. So I think it'll be Rashford wide right, and I think Matter Greenwood will be on the bench. I'll cover Van der Beek again in a minute because he's half a chance of a run out at number 10, his favourite role. But wide on the left, I think it's going to be Anthony Martial. I thought Martial looked particularly bright when he switched out there at the weekend. He got involved on numerous occasions and did some really good things. He did one brilliant run from like the left back area diagonally across the field, and he fed Bruno into a dangerous position. He passed it to Rashford, and Rashford should have scored. That was a brilliant piece of play by Martial. He did a similar run where he got brought down and won a free kick when we'd been under a little bit of pressure, and it was a sort of free kick that a lot of fans might not think a lot of. The coaching staff and his teammates will have been over the moon with him, carrying the ball 40 yards up the field and then winning a free kick, giving everybody a breather and letting everybody get forward. He also got hold of the ball in the box. He's really calm and cool in the penalty area. He took hold of the ball in the box and fed it back to the edge of the box, and Fred should have shot, but Fred took a touch and tried to pass it. He also did a little trick where he almost got a shot in with it. Well, he sort of got his shot in, but somebody blocked it off for a corner. He also dribbled it along the dead ball line and beat a man, and then got tackled and won a corner. Another important thing when you've been under a bit of pressure and you're protecting a 1-0 lead. He did a lot of good things, Anthony Martial, in his half hour on the left wing, and I think Martial is going to start tomorrow wide on the left. So then, number 10 and number 9. I'll go to number 9 first. Cavani got half an hour at the weekend. He's been used to getting 5, 10, 15 minutes. He's sort of building up. He got half an hour at the weekend, and that was followed by 70 minutes twice for Uruguay during the international break. Just because you start a game, by the way, it doesn't necessarily, especially now we've got 5 subs as well, it doesn't necessarily mean you've got to play 90 minutes. So don't think Cavani's not fit for 90 minutes. You do not need to think like that. He could get 50, 60, 70 minutes, and that. So this is a starting lineup. Don't forget, it's not doesn't mean you've just got to play the 90 minutes. I think Cavani will start at number 9 tomorrow. I think he showed up well enough in the games that he's played, and as I say, he got half an hour at the weekend, which is a bit more than normal, and it also allows Martial to switch out to the left where he looked really bright. So I'm going for Cavani at number 9. Number 10, I think, will be Bruno. There's just a slim chance that he might give Bruno a rest. He was asked in the conference, is Bruno due a rest? He seems to play every game, and he said Bruno will not play every game. Whether that's a hint that Bruno might get rested tomorrow, I'm not sure. I think he'll be too tempted to think that I need Bruno in the team. He's the man who's scoring more goals and making more goals than anybody else. It's a must-win game, it really is. If we don't win tomorrow night, we're in real jeopardy about qualifying out of this group. So I think the temptation will be too much for Ole to give Bruno a rest tomorrow. I think Bruno will play. I don't think he needs to worry about that. I think if Van der Beek played, it might not be him that scores the goals. It might not be him who even creates the goals. But I just think the team could play equally as well, if not better, and still get goals no matter who scores them. I wouldn't have any problem giving Van der Beek a run out in the number 10 role. I don't think Ole will see it like that. So I think Bruno will start at number 10. So just to recap, I think the team tomorrow night, I think he'll start with Henderson in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire and Telles. I think he'll start Rashford on the right and Martial on the left, with McTominay and Fred in the middle, Bruno at number 10 and Cavani at number 9. I'll keep an eye on it and see what he ends up selecting and see how close I am. Just on Anthony Martial, this was touched upon in the press conference, that he's had such a poor start to the season, and when's he going to start scoring goals? It was mentioned, I think it was Arthur Albiston who mentioned it in the studio. He said he scored 23 in 48 last season, which was a good return, and he actually said it's almost 1 every 2 games. Well, I happen to have noticed that although Martial didn't score in the first 3 or 4 games of the season, I think it was the first 4 run-outs that he had, suddenly he has actually scored twice in his last 4. So just right now, his goal-scoring form is exactly the same as last season. Don't forget, he was suspended while he was playing. He was suspended in the league while he was playing Champions League games. and he scored against Leipzig and he scored against Basaksehir. I know the goal against Leipzig was a penalty, but he did get a penalty in his 23 last season. And we've also got a certain other player that everybody says it doesn't matter that they're all penalties. Someone's got to take them. So it is a penalty. Someone's got to take it. So he's actually scored against Leipzig. He scored against Basaksehir. He's not scored against Everton and he's not scored against West Brom. That's his last 4 appearances. So right now, as we speak, he's actually scoring goals at the moment at the same rate that he did last season, which is a bit of a strange one. But there you go. Everybody seems to think he's not scoring enough. He isn't scoring enough if you look back right to the start of the season. But at some stage, that's got to change. And at the moment, it has already changed. I'd love him to actually score one tomorrow night. If he scores one tomorrow night, he'll have had 3 in 5, which is pretty good. So that's that on Anthony Martial. I hope he starts scoring even more goals soon. Another thing that was mentioned in the MU TV studio that I definitely don't agree with, they spoke about the other game tomorrow evening, which is Leipzig v PSG, and they said they wanted Leipzig to win or a draw, and I think it's exactly the opposite way round. I think we need PSG to win, and I'll tell you why. This is all assuming we win, by the way, which they were assuming that we win. If we win tomorrow night, we get to 9 points. If Leipzig win tomorrow night, they get to 9 points, and it leaves PSG on 3. If PSG are left on 3, they can only get to 9. So if we drew with them, we would be through. Leipzig, they're their own, you know, that it's in their own hands once they've got to 9. We would need a point off PSG in that situation. If it's a draw tomorrow night, and they said they wanted a draw or a win for Leipzig. So if it's a draw tomorrow night and we get to 9, Leipzig get to 7, and PSG get to 4, obviously Leipzig could still get to 13. So it's still, you know, we've still got our hands full finishing above Leipzig. But against PSG, we would need a draw because PSG on 4 could still get to 10, but if we draw with them, they can only get to 8. So in either of those situations, we need a draw off PSG to guarantee our way through. Now then, if PSG win, that leaves PSG and Leipzig both on 6. We'd be on 9. Don't forget, this is assuming we win. We'd be on 9. So if we're on 9 and they're both on 6, if we draw with PSG, they can only get to 10. We'd be on 10 and we've already beaten them once and then we would have drawn with them. So on the head-to-head, we'd be above PSG. And the same applies with Leipzig. So if Leipzig are on 6, we need a draw off Leipzig to finish above them. So in the other 2 scenarios, we need a draw, but it's got to be off PSG. In the scenario that I'm saying, if PSG win and they're both on 6, we could get a draw off either of them. And it'd guarantee that we would get through. So a draw off either team will do us if PSG win tonight and get to 6 points. And obviously we've got to get to 9 points. So I think on MUTV, they've got that completely their own way around. It's better if we win tonight. I think I've worked it out right. Somebody in the comments might say, no, it don't work like that, it works like this. But in my opinion, the best result for us tonight is that PSG win. Sorry, not tonight, tomorrow night. Is that PSG win, if we win as well, obviously. So that's that for today. I've named what I think the last starting lineup will be tomorrow. I think he's going to give Henderson a run out, and I think it'll be Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire and Telles. And I think Rashford's going to play on the right. I think Martial's going to play on the left. McTominay and Freddie in the middle. And I think Bruno will be at number 10. And I think Cavani will be at number 9. I can't wait to see how close I've got that. If you enjoyed that little show, please smash a like. Please subscribe. Tell all your friends. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anyone. Keep stum.